All right, all right, all right. Welcome Sunday night. Here we are. My name is 12 Gauge. I am your host, and welcome to 12 Gauge Investigative. It's been a wonderful Sunday. I hope you guys are doing well. I went live this morning and I was discussing a lot of things that are going on these YouTube streets. And it's getting ugly out there, folks. Ugly, ugly, ugly. And sometimes you just have to step back, take a deep breath, and let the wind go beneath your wings and fly and fly and fly. Life is not that serious. It really isn't. And it's sad sometimes whenever we let the imaginary world of the internet to dictate our reality. And we all have reasons why we believe certain things. But in the end, it is what it is. To thy own self be true, right? Well, tonight I'm going to continue reading about the Matthew Perry Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing. But I do want to make a disclaimer before I start this. There's a live going on right now that is attacking one of the individuals that comes into my chats and into my lives and helps out. And if anybody from that chat comes over here to start drama, I'm going to tell you right off, you're going to be blocked. This isn't the place for it. And just because that individual is welcome here does not give you the right to come over here and try to dictate anything. So I will tell you that in advance. And that's for in any live that I have from now on. Most of you have drawn the line in the sand and you proclaimed yourself on one side of the coin. So, as your master have stated to you, stay on that side. There's no room over here for you. And that's all I have to say about that. For everybody else that enjoys the content and doesn't want any of the drama, you're welcome to stay. This book is interesting and I'm going to continue reading it. And also, if you come into the chat tonight, I don't want to hear about any other case that's going on. I don't care about drug bust. I don't care about the Idaho 4. I don't care about any of that. And I sure don't care about the drama. I don't care. But I do support people that have been in my chats and have been on my panels. And if you don't like that, then you know what you can do. And that's all I got to say about that. Glitter, you're Rondi. Welcome. Hopefully, we'll have some more people in here. I'm sure they're all flocking to the drama on that other channel, which is fine. Some people show their true colors whenever drama takes place, and me, like I've said many times in this channel, stay away from it because it has nothing to do with me. You don't have anything better to do than to talk about other people, especially when you take words out of context and things like that. It just sad. Just sad, man. This is the interlude. It says this is the pitch. I said, "Yeah, you ready?" Adam said, "Sure, lay it on me." I took a long drag of my Marlboro, pushed the phone closer to my cheek, gave a long exhale of tar and nicotine and pain, and began selling. Okay, I said, it's about this guy. You'd recognize him. His name is Matt, and he's about 50 years old. And he's very, very famous from doing a super beloved TV show years ago. But now, when the movie starts, we meet him, and he's got a pot belly. There are piles of empty pizza boxes in his apartment, all piled up like the totem in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. You know, the one they made out of mashed potatoes? Anyway, his life is a little bit of a mess. He is lost. Then out of the blue, a distant relative of his dies and leaves him 2 billion, and he uses the money to become a superhero. I love it, said Adam. Then he said, did you really inherit $2 million, $2 billion? Adam's a funny guy. No, no, I said, it's just the character who inherits the money. Does any of that spark anything with you? Because if it does, what's our next move? You're the big shoulders. I'm not really the big shoulders, Adam said. I'm currently live. Talk to you in a bit. All right, bye. I'm not really the big shoulders, Adam said, though we both know he is. I, pre- I appreciated his modesty, but modesty won't get you even a fuck you in Hollywood. What do you mean? I said. Of course you're the big shoulders. This was, after all, Adam McKay, the guy who directed Anchorman and Step Brothers and a bunch of other big stuff. At the time we were chatting, he was making Don't Look Up, that movie about a giant asteroid heading toward Earth. You know, the one that starred Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, Timothy Chalamet, Mark Rylance, Kate Blanchett, Tyler Perry, Jonah Hill, even Ariana Grande, and Meryl Streep. Amazing cast. I was in Don't Look Up at one point too, and even though I was also heading to rehab in Switzerland, I nevertheless went to Boston to shoot my bit. While there, I pitched a line to Adam, and he loved, and which became the blow to the scene, which is what you're always hoping for. He ended up not using the scene. Shit happens, no bigs. The point being, Adam McKay and I got along really well. And here he was, loving my pitch. At the time, I was in pain from the scar tissue from the surgery, so I needed pain meds. But I'd get addicted to them, of course, which would only cause more damage to my insides. But feeling a little better, I was happy recently when I got a call from Adam. We were just chatting, but in Hollywood, there's no such thing as just chatting. So I figured, what the hell? Why is he calling me? And when he never seemed to get to the point, I seized the moment and I pitched him my idea. Anyway, Mr. Big Shoulders, I said, ignoring his false modesty, what do you think? You know, when there's a pause in a conversation that in hindsight you wish you could have lasted forever so you don't have to hear the rest of it? I don't think you're talking to the person you think you're talking to, Adam said. What? Well, who is this? I said. It's Adam McLean. We met 6 years ago. I'm a computer salesman. Okay. If you've seen Don't Look Up, you'll know that at the end, well, let's just say that when I realized it was Adam McLean, not Adam McKay, a huge fucking asteroid smacked into my brain. I have history in this kind of shit too. Years earlier, Bruce Willis won the People's Choice Award for Best Actor for The Sixth Sense and asked me to present it to him. That night, backstage, I met Haley Joel Osment and N. H. Night Shyamalan and spoke to both of them for 10 minutes. 6 months later, I was with some friends at the Sunset Marquis Hotel, and who should walk in but M. Night Shyamalan. Hey, Matthew, he said, long time no see. Can I sit down? Can he sit down? He had just written and directed The Sixth Sense. He was the next Steven Spielberg. Of course he could sit down. I was a few drinks in and having a good time. This was when alcohol alone still worked for me. Eventually, my friend filtered out, and it was just M. Night and me sitting there kicking it. I remember making a mental note that we were not talking show business at all, just talking about love and loss and girls in LA and all other stuff people chat about at bars. He seemed to be having a really good time too, laughing at all my dumb jokes. And I began to think, hey, this guy likes me. He must just be a huge Friends fan or something, because he really seemed super focused on everything I'm saying. I usually never do this. I've been burned by this line of thinking way too many times, but I began to have wild fantasies about what this could do for my career. He told me that there was another bar that had just opened across town and asked me if I wanted to go with him. Did I want to go with him? He was in Night freaking Shyamalan. Of course I wanted to go with him. We went to the valet, picked up our cars, and I followed him across town to this new place, all while certain that I was going to be the star of his next huge movie. Yeah, there was going to be a new, awesome, twisty movie, and the trick ending was going to be me. My head was doing cartwheels. I can't explain why. He just seemed like he loved me and my work, and I was just drunk enough to think this was going to be the life changing night. As we took our seats at the new place, I felt comfortable, Reed drunk enough to say that we should work together sometime. All at once, a strange look came across his face, and I remember immediately regretting having said it. He excused himself to go to the bathroom, and while he was gone, someone I knew a bit came up to me and asked how my night was going. I said, well, I've been hanging out with M. Night Shyamalan all night, and I'm telling you, this guy loves me. My buddy was impressed. That is, until M. Night returned from the bathroom. Maddie, my pal said, looking closely at M. Night, could I have a word in private? This was weird as fuck. But drink will make almost anything plausible, so I stepped away from my magical evening with M. Night for the moment. Maddie, my friend whispered, that is not M. Night Shyamalan. This revelation caused me to attempt to really fully focus my vodka softened eyes for a moment, and through the gloom of the dark bar, I squinted hard at M. Night Shyamalan. Not even close. Turns out M. Night was actually just an Indian gentleman who looked the tiniest bit like M. Night. Maybe it was M. Night, and who was in reality the Mater D at Mr. Chow Beverly Hills, a hip restaurant in LA that I frequented, and that I no longer frequent because I told its Mater D that we should work together sometime. What kind of a night did he think he was having? I thought. Chapter 3, Baggage. I lived in a perpetual state of Groundhog Day. It's my favorite movie for a reason. Every morning, I would head to the Formosa Cafe on Santa Monica Boulevard in West Hollywood with my friends. There were two signs over the bar. The one under all the headshots read, Where the Stars Dine. The other read, Wine by the Glass. But we didn't drink by the glass. We drank by the pint, and the quart, and the gallon, and vodka, not wine. We was Hank Azaria, David Pressman, Craig Bierko, and me. We had formed our very own mini rat pack. I'd met Hank first when I was 16. We were at the CBS lot auditioning for a pilot starring Ellen Green of Little Shop of Horrors. We both got cast, and he played my uncle in the pilot. We got along so well that when I left the nest to move out on my own, I moved into a studio apartment in his building. He was already a seriously funny guy, and by the time I met him, he was doing a ton of voiceover work. That gig would eventually lead him to becoming an incredibly wealthy guy. But back at the start of it, all we wanted was fame. Fame, fame, fame. That's all we wanted. And girls and fame. It was all we cared about. Because at least for me, I figured being famous would fill the great hole that was endlessly growing inside of me. But being pre famous, it was a hole I filled with alcohol. I was drinking all the time. I spent my college years drinking at the Formosa. In fact, in drinking, I got a 4.0 GPA and was alcohol beta kappa. Love of alcohol had indeed become the helm theme of my life, but I don't think I realized just how much it controlled me until one night when I was out with my girlfriend at the time, Gabby. Gabby would go on to write for Veep and a bunch of other stuff and be a friend for life. But that night, she and I and a group of friends went to a magic show at Universal City. I remember ordering some specialty drinks simmering with alcohol to sip on while the guy produced rabbits out of hats or whatever, but eventually the endless lines of silk scarves out of the sleeves grew wearisome, and we all headed back to Gabby's apartment to hang out. Gabby didn't have any alcohol at home, which of course was totally fine. But for me at the age of 21, all of a sudden this creeping feeling came over me for the first time. I felt my blood on fire for more to drink. I really wanted another drink. And I could think of nothing else. It was that night when I first felt the obsession for alcohol. I noticed that no one else seemed even the slightest bit fazed by the lack of drinks at Gabby's. But I had that overpowering pull like a great magnet, and I was just little shards of iron. I was freaked out by this, especially as it was me and only me who seemed to be struggling. So I decided to not go find more to drink that night, but it left me unable to sleep, uncomfortable, tossing and turning, lost to it, restless, irritable, and discontented until the sun finally rose. What was happening to me? What was wrong with me? Why was I the only person there who had been dying for another drink? I couldn't tell anyone this was happening because even I didn't understand it. I think for many years my drinking was a secret to people, well, at least the extent of it. Certainly back then, I was just a college age kid wasting the equivalent of its college years on booze and women and making my guy friends and women laugh. What was there to admit? But what no one knew was I was drinking alone. That remained a secret. How much I drank when I was drinking alone depended entirely on the year. Eventually, I'd work my way up to the party bottle with the handle, killed that in 2 days by myself. But that night at the magic show, even when I was freaking out, what's going on? I've never experienced this feeling before in my life. Why can't I think of a single fucking solitary thing except a drink? If you're at a bar, you just order another drink. But when it's in the middle of the night, you don't tend to lie awake wishing you had one in your hand. That was new. That was different. That was terrifying. And that was a secret. 10 years later, I read the following words in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Drinkers think they're trying to escape, but really they're trying to overcome a mental disorder they didn't know they had. Eureka! Someone understands me. But reading that, both wonderful and horrible, it meant I wasn't alone. There were others who thought just like me, but it also meant I was an alcoholic that would have to quit drinking one day at a time for the rest of my life. How was I ever going to have fun again? I can't decide if I actually like people or not. I can feel you, Maddie. I was there. I was there. People have needs. They lie, they cheat, they steal, or worse, they want to talk about themselves. Alcohol was my best friend because it never wanted to talk about itself. It was just always there, the mute dog at my heel gazing up at me, always ready to go on a walk. It took away so much of the pain, including the fact that when I was alone, I was lonely. And that when I was with people, I was lonely too. It made movies better, songs better, it made me better. It made me comfortable with where I was instead of wishing I was somewhere, anywhere else. It made me content to hang out with women in front of me rather than continually wondering in life would be better if I were dating someone else. It took away being an outsider in my own family. It removed the walls all around me except one, even if for a while it allowed me to control my feelings and in doing so, control my world. Like a friend, it was there for me. And I was fairly certain I would go crazy without it. And I'm right about that. By the way, I would have gone crazy without it. It made me want to be a completely different person. To give it up seemed impossible. Learning to move forward in life without it was tantamount to asking someone to go about his or her day without breathing. For that, I will always be grateful to alcohol. It finally beat me into a state of reasonableness. According to Malcolm Gladwell, if you did anything for 10,000 hours, you could be an expert. This made me an expert in two areas: 1980s tennis and drinking. Only one of those subjects is important enough to save a life. I'll let you guess which one. But when I wanted to feel less alone among people, it was Hank Azaria, David Pressman, and eventually Craig Bierko I chose. Weirdly, I played a character with the surname Azarian on Beverly Hills 90210, getting a guest spot on episode 19 of the 22 episode first season was a big deal. Beverly Hills 90210 hadn't reached cultural phenomenon status by the time I played Roger Azarian, Beverly Hills High tennis star, and the son of a hard charging, distant businessman father. But the themes in that episode, teen depression, suicide, and learning disabilities, marked it out as a show that wouldn't shy away from real stuff, however privileged its milieu. The episode, which borrowed its title from T.S. Eliot of all people, April is the cruelest month, opened with me hitting the crap out of some tennis balls, showing off my Canadian rank form, my big whip forehands, and aggressive backhand winners, showcasing the fact that I could really play. I was even using a throwback Bjorn Borg style wooden Danae racket with the tiny head, which I managed to break in the scene by hitting too hard. Jason Priestley, in the role of Brandon Walsh, noting my thinly veiled rage, proceeded to ask me how many rackets I go through in a week. And in an art of imitating life moment, I say, depends on whose face I see on the ball. I couldn't escape stairwells even when I was playing a fictional character on a TV show. By the end of the episode, I shared a screenplay with Brandon, gotten drunk, held a gun to my own face, and ended up in a locked psychiatric ward. Only the gun bit was play acting, the rest was method. I wasn't yet 22. For a few years, I'd been a guest actor, doing a series here, a series there, guest starring roles. The point was, I was working. My first biggest break had come when I was cast in Second Chance, though my casting was overshadowed by who wasn't cast. I still think Second Chance had a great premise. A 40-year-old guy called Charles Russer dies in a hovercraft accident, because that happens all the time, and goes to see St. Peter in his office. If the light shines gold on Charles as he stands in judgment, he goes to heaven. If it shines red, he goes to hell. But if it shines blue, as it does in Mr. Russell's case, he was called a blue lighter, meaning they didn't know what to do with him. So St. Peter decided to send him back to Earth to meet his 15-year-old self and guide him through a life of better decision making. That way, by the time he once again boards the hovercraft at 40, when he dies on the second time, because he's been a better person, the light will change from "we don't know what to do with you, blue" to a "we're sold. Welcome to eternity gold." Can you think of a more perfect premise for a father son acting team? And my father and I duly auditioned, then disaster. I got a green light to be the son of a blue lighter, and Dad got no light at all. They want you, they don't want me, Dad said when he heard the news. I guess I threw him in a hard to read look. After all, I'd gotten a huge part, even if he hadn't. So I imagined my face, combined sorrow for him and glee for me, so much so that he said, "Do I have to repeat it? They want you. They don't want me." My father's hurt feelings aside, I had just booked my first TV show. I was making 5 grand a week. I was 17 years old. My ego was off the chart. I thought I was the shit, just like everyone thought Second Chance was. It came in as number 93 of the 93 ranked shows that season. For the final 9 episodes after the initial 13, the whole St. Peter Blue Lighter stuff had been forgotten, and the show just followed me and my pals in our various adventures. So it didn't matter that the show remained 93rd in a list of 93. Someone important had liked me enough to build a show around me, which only increased my ego to epic proportions and might well have set me up for success later. My father dealt with this news by not attending a single taping except the very last one. He had his reasons, I suppose. Accordingly, I was able to score various guest roles after that, and 2 years later, I got another series, this time in a show starring Valerie Bertinelli. The show, called Sydney, followed the exploits of Valerie as a private eye, and I played her fast talking brother. That's all you'll ever need to know about those 13 episodes. Sydney was canceled after one half season, but despite its failure to ignite audiences, I'll never forget two things about Sydney. First, Valerie's lawyer love interest in the show was played by an actor named Craig Bierko. Almost immediately after meeting Craig on set, I called Hank Azaria and said, "He sounds the way we do," which was the highest praise I could give somebody. But before I could truly get to see how funny Craig was, there was the second thing I should tell you about Sydney. During filming, I fell madly in love with Valerie Bertinelli, who was clearly in a troubled marriage and truly getting off on two of the funniest guys on the planet, adoring her and heaping their attention on her. Valerie Bertinelli, those 7 syllables once stirred every part of my soul and other parts. In the early 1990s, there was no one more attractive than Valerie. Not only was she stunning and vivacious, but she also had this great, booming, adorable laugh, which Craig and I longed to hear all day long. Now that Craig and I were cast, it was as if Valerie had two new clowns to play with. And we threw ourselves into those roles with abandon, and three of us had a lot of fun. But for me, being on Sydney and playing the fool with Valerie was more than just fun. It was serious shit. I was having to hide my love for her as we worked. This wouldn't be the last time this happened, which was desperately difficult. My crush was crushing. Not only was she way out of my league, but she was also married to one of the most famous rock stars on the planet, Eddie Van Halen. Back when we were making Sydney, Eddie's band, Van Halen, were in the middle of a string of 4 back-to-back #1 albums. They were arguably the biggest band on the planet in the late 1980s, early 1990s, and Eddie was arguably the greatest rock guitarist on the planet at the time, too. As for me, well, I was always able to get laid because I made women laugh, but I knew that being funny always came in second to musicians. In the world of music, there's hierarchy, too. It's my contention that bass players tend to get laid first because they're solid and cool and their fingers move in gentle yet powerful ways. Except for Paul McCartney. He never got laid first. Drummers come next because they're all power and grit. Then guitarists because they got those fancy solos. Then weirdly, the lead singer. Because even though he's out there in front, he never quite fully he never looked fully sexy when he had to throw his head back and reveal his molars to hit a high note. Whatever the correct order, I knew I was way behind Eddie Van Halen. Not only was he a musician, which means he was able to get laid more easily than someone who is funny, but he was also already married to the object of my desire. It is important to point out here that my feelings for Valerie were real. I was completely captivated. I mean, I was obsessed with her and harbored elaborate fantasies about her leaving Eddie Van Halen and living out the rest of her days with me. I was 19 and lived in a one-bedroom apartment on Laurel Canyon in Burbank called Club California, mind you. But fantasies and first love don't know about real estate. They don't know about real anything. I didn't stand a fucking chance, of course. That said, there was one night I was over at Valerie and Eddie's house, just hanging out and gazing at Valerie, trying to make her laugh. When you made her laugh, you felt 10 feet tall. As the night progressed, it was clear that Eddie had enjoyed the fruits of their vine a little too hard. One more time, and eventually he just passed out. Not 10 feet away from us, but still, this was my chance. If you think I didn't actually have a chance in hell, you'd be wrong. Dear reader, Valerie and I had a long, elaborate makeout session. It was happening. Maybe she felt the same way I did. I told her I had thought about doing that for a long time, and she said it right back to me. Heaven eventually wrapped up, and I hopped in my black Honda CRX and headed back to Club California with a heart on. Let me take a moment to say hello to people in the chat. How are y'all doing? Heidi, how you doing? Glitter, Rondi, Aquarius. Anybody else in here that I missed? I hope that y'all are enjoying this. It's really like what'd you say? You said do you know I named my daughter Valerie, which I was younger, please to tell me I look like. Oh wow. That's awesome. That is awesome. Happy birthday, Heidi. Happy 22nd birthday. He leaves with a heart on that could have popped up, propped up the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and a 19-year-old head flooded with dreams of a life spent with the object of my affection or obsession. I told Craig Bierko about this the following day, and he passed on some desperately needed advice in reality, though it was advice I wasn't ready to take. Be careful, he said. He's just jealous. I thought as I prepared for the following day at work, but this time with Valerie as my new girlfriend. The following day at work did not go as I expected it would. Valerie made no mention of what had happened and was behaving as she should have been. Like this was just a normal day. I quickly got the hint and also played the role I was supposed to. But inside I was devastated. Many a tearful night and spending the bulk of my daytime sleeping off hangovers in my tiny trailer, not to mention hours and hours of watching Craig's part get bigger as Valerie's love interest on the show, all made for a very sad, disillusioned teenager. The show did very badly, and I was so grateful that 4 weeks after the fateful night, Sydney got canceled, and I didn't have to see Valerie anymore. She, of course, had done nothing wrong, but having to see her every day and pretend I was fine about everything reminded me too much of what I had to do every day with my mother back in Ottawa, Canada. I've spent my life being attracted to unavailable women. Well, Matthew Perry, I so can relate. It doesn't take a psychology degree to figure out that this had something to do with my relationship with my mother. Ding, 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 ding. My mother captivated every room she entered. I vividly remember being at some fancy ballroom when I was about 6 years old. And when my mom came in, every head in the room turned. I wanted her to turn and look at me in those moments, but she was working and could not. It took me only 37 years to work that out. Ever since then, I have been addicted to the turn. Once the turn happened, I could start making a woman laugh and making her want me sexually. Once the sex was done, reality set in, and I realized I didn't know these women at all. They were available, so I had no need for them. I had to get back out there and try to make them make the turn. That's why I slept with so many women. I was trying to recreate my childhood and win. I knew none of this at the time, of course, and just thought something had gone wrong with them. Surprise, surprise, everyone. Canadian actor boy had some major mommy issues. But I was 19 and life quickly moved on for everyone. A year later, Van Halen released the aptly titled For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. And I went back to trying to pick up women at the Formosa and trying to recreate the turn as often as humanly possible. Sometimes it worked, but every time I left at 1:40 a.m. to rush to the nearest liquor store so that I could score more vodka and keep drinking deep into the night, I'd sit there emptying the bottle, eventually the one with the handle, watching The Goodbye Girl or even Michael Keaton movie Clean and Sober, figure that one out, until just like Eddie Van Halen, I passed out. A needling thought had begun to enter my brain too. Not a huge one, but one nonetheless. You're drinking every night, though this thought was quickly washed away by the next drink. And that and every next day I'd manage to drag myself to lunch where I would meet Craig Bierko, to this day by far the fastest comic mind I have ever seen. I thought my mind was fast, but no, it was Craig Bierko. Hank Azaria became the richest one of the group because he had been doing a voice on The Simpsons since 1955. I was to be the most famous, and David Pressman was to be the journeyman actor, just like his dad, Lawrence Pressman. And the craziest, David loved to do things like run naked into a supermarket shouting, I have horrible problems. Someone please shave me. And then run out. He did well into his 40s. I sometimes join him in disrobing in public, though I quit in my mid 30s because I'm the mature one. To this day, no one has made me laugh as hard as Craig Bierko. Being funnier than Hank, David, and me as a threesome was pretty much impossible, but Craig managed it. Being funnier than Hank and me without David was also unheard of, but Craig managed that too. We would go out to lunch, and Craig would say something that was so funny that 15 minutes later, after lunch had finished, and I was driving home, I would have to pull over to the side of the road because I could still be laughing. And Craig would drive by and see me laughing and know why. There was no one funnier than Craig. No one. The other thing that drove our friendship, besides trying to be the quickest, the funniest, was fame. We were all absolutely desperate to be famous. Hank, being the voice of the Simpsons, had the most lucrative gig, but it was not the Al Pacino career he longed for. As for me, well, I had done plenty of TV, but nothing that had remotely brought me fame. And fame, fame. That's all any of us cared about. In between the laughter and after we shared the latest stories of auditions gone awry or scripts we'd read and hated, the quieter moments were filled with a profound worry, a quiet yearning and fear that we would never make it, that fame would just somehow pass us by. We were four strong egos, four funny men, the bon mots flying about like shrapnel, but the battle raged on, the battle for fame. I held firm in my belief that fame would fill the unaccompanied hole in me, the one that Valerie refused to fill. But now with just me and vodka attempting and failing this seemingly impossible task. When fame finally happened, well, we're coming to that. I once made out with David Pressman, or tried to, though I didn't mean to either way. When we were in our early 20s, he and I and a couple of other guys headed east to Vegas to do the Vegas thing. We basically had no money, but that had never before stopped four idiots heading to Sin City. I think I had about 200 bucks in my pocket. The four of us rented one motel room off the strip with two beds. I shared a bed with David. In the middle of the night, I guess I was dreaming about Gabby, my ex. I was inching closer and closer to David, saying things like, Aw, baby, and you smell so good, and I promise I'll be quick. He too was mercifully asleep, but his subconscious had the wherewithal to keep saying no and back up and leave me the fuck alone. Eventually, I started kissing the back of his neck, which caused us to both startle awake. Seeing the horrified look on his face, I said, Oh, just forget it, and scuttled back to the side of the bed. Clearly, we all needed some release. The first night we hit the tables, and somehow I lucked into something, winning $2,600 at blackjack, which was the most cash any of us had ever had. It was time to spend it unwisely. I lifted up my arms and, just like a king, exclaimed, "I'm getting everyone laid." Oh my God. A cab driver took us way out of town to a place called Dominions, a place he promised us would satiate our needs. He received presumably a cut from every set of the foolish young men he deposited at Dominions in the desert. To even gain ingress in this fine establishment, we were informed by a man with no neck that somebody had to drop at least $1,000, and that I'd done it well on the table. That privilege fell on me. In fact, I ended up plopping down 1,600 on a single bottle of champagne. At which point, we were each escorted to a separate boxy room where a young lady awaited for each of us. I figured the $1,600 I'd already spent would be good for what I hoped would come next, but I was sadly mistaken. In fact, I wasn't going to be taken at all unless I proffered another $300, which I duly did. But before I could graduate to the business end of the evening, David Pressman and the other two guys appeared at my door, needing their own 300 stipend. Their financial needs met, I returned to the matter at hand. It didn't occur to me to do the math, but here it is in case you need it. I started at 200, won 2,600, dropped 1,600 on the champagne, and ponied up with an additional 300 each for a total of $2,800, everything I had. With the financial commitments in place, the young lady proceeded to start dancing at me a ways off at the other side of the room. And though she gyrated in a perfectly acceptable, if slightly Roxbury girl's manner, I was ready to take our relationship to the next level. "What the hell is going on?" I said obliquely. "What?" she said. "What? We're supposed to be having sex." I said, "I've spent a small fortune in here." Then she explained to me, for some reason, that I could arrange the pillows wherever I wanted to. "That's wonderful, and I'm excited about your pillow thing. I really am. But aren't we supposed to be doing something else about right now?" I asked, even begged. "Are you the police?" she said. "No," I said, and I was beginning to wonder if I should call them to report a fraud. "I paid you all that money. We had a deal." "Oh," she said, interrupting me, "that was just for the dance." At that point, a rapping on the door alerted me to the fact that each of my cronies had faced the same disappointing fate. But as we were thoroughly out of money by this point, with tears in our eyes, foretaken, though not taken, losers stepped out into inky black of the Mojave and began the long walk back to the motel. One of my friends, Nick, did get to take his girl to Young Gun 2 the following day, so that's something. And there were a lot of unanswered questions in the original Young Guns. In 1994, Craig Bierko was a hot item in that particular pilot season, all of us running around auditioning for the latest slate of sitcoms and dramas, but Craig was the one everyone wanted. This, and he was quicker with a line than me. He was also much better looking than me, but let's not go into any more of that. We don't want a crying author on our hands. I should have hated him, but funny was always wins, so I decided to keep loving him. I was 24, and already I was missing 50% of my auditions. I was tailing out as an actor. Drinking was slowly but surely winning the war against auditions, and no one really was interested in me anyways. I wasn't getting any movies, and the roles I got on TV were hardly setting the world all right. I was hungover half the time. The rest of the time, I was on my way to lunch or the Formosa. My manager sat me down one day and told me that the people I aspired to be, Michael Keaton or Tom Hanks, all possessed the attitude I was shooting for, but they both also looked great, and was getting daily feedback from casting directors and producers that I looked like a mess. Hank, too, was starting to get worried that he was wasting his life away and stop coming to the Formosa and the funny lunches. He was always very serious about his body and his career. I shouldn't have been surprised, but around that time, I got a phone call from my then business manager. Matthew, you're out of money. How about a little warning? I said, scared to death. Did it occur to you that a few months ago you could have given me a heads up? Via a call in which you said, Hey, Matthew, your funds are looking a bit anemic. Instead of waiting till I was now broke, there was a silence on the other end of the line as though keeping tabs on someone's income before they were broke was an entirely new concept for a business manager. Fortunately, I had just enough juice in me to book a part in a terrible pilot. Hanging up with my now former business manager, I called my agent and told them I was out of money. I needed a job, something, anything, and it had to be right then. If, gentle reader, you're imagining that's how I got friends, you might want to cool your jets. That call led to the show that almost stopped me from getting friends. LAX 2194 was a sci-fi comedy about baggage handlers at Los Angeles International Airport. You could really stop there, but there's more. Those numbers in the title gave away the twist. It was set 200 years in the future. In the Air Travelers would be aliens. The show would star Ryan Stiles as an automation office manager with a weird accent. Seriously, Ryan is a hilarious actor, but what was that accent? And me as the poor guy who had to be the lead in this mess and sort out the baggage issues for the arriving aliens, who happened to have been played by little people in the ridiculous wigs. If all this sounds underwhelming, please know that it was way worse than that. I had to wear a futuristic shirt for a start, despite my misgiving. To repeat, it was a comedy about baggage handlers set 200 years in the future, where the aliens are played by little people. The pilot paid me $2,200, $500, so I was set for drinks and food at the Formosa for a while. But it did something else too, because I was attached to LAX 2194. I was thereby off the market for other shows. Then disaster struck, and I don't mean LAX 2194 got picked up for a season. That never happened, thank God. What did happen was a script for a new show called Friends, Like Us. Became the hot read of the season. Everyone who read it knew it was going to be great. I read it and immediately called these same agents who'd gotten me LAX 2194. You have to get me on Friends Like Us, I said. Not going to happen, my agent said. You're attached to the baggage handler show. They've already measured you for the futuristic shirt and everything. I was devastated. When I read the script for Friends Like Us, it was as someone had followed me around for a year, stealing my jokes, copywriting my mannerism, photocopying my world weary yet witty view of life. One character in particular stood out to me. It wasn't that I thought I could play Chandler. I was Chandler. But I was also Blaine in LAX 2194. Fuck me, is everyone kidding? Am I the least lucky person on the planet? It only got worse because Friends Like Us was the hot ticket of the season. Everyone was reading it, everyone was auditioning for it, and everyone, it seemed, decided that the part of Chandler was exactly like me and came to my apartment to ask me to help them with their auditions. A few even went a long way based on my choices and my choices alone. Hank Azaria thought it was so good he auditioned for it twice for the role of Joey. That's right, he auditioned for it, got passed on, begged and pleaded to go in again, and got passed on again. Later, Hank would be Phoebe's romantic interest for a few episodes, performances for which he won an Emmy. I did 237 episodes and won nothing. I ended up knowing the script for Friends Like Us pretty much off by heart because I practiced it so much with my pals. In fact, there were times I just acted Chandler out for them and told them to copy what I'd done. So sure was I that it was the right way to play him. And still, I would call my agent every 3 or 4 days begging for a chance. Now we are forgetting about Craig Bierko, the hottest ticket in town. One morning, Craig called Hank and me to breakfast, and as we walked in, we saw Craig sitting at a table with two scripts in front of him. Guys, Craig said, I've been offered two shows. Jim Burrows, the hottest director in Hollywood, is directing both. One is called Best Friends, and the other one is called, wait, don't say it, please don't say it, Friends Like Us. He had been offered the role of Chandler. It made my head explode. And I need you to tell me which one to take. My first instinct was to tell him to take his job and go fuck himself. But he was a close friend, so Hank and I both obliged. The three of us read these two scripts that morning, though I already knew Friends Like Us off by heart, and it was clear which one he should take. My heart sank because I knew I was Chandler, but I also wasn't an asshole. I was crushed. We both told Craig to do Friends Like Us. This made me think of an exchange from my episode on Beverly Hills 90210. Brandon, what about friends? Roger, friends? My father says they're the only ones you can't trust. Brandon, do you always listen to him? Roger, no. Lunch was winding down and it was time for Craig to tell his agents where his head was at. Hank managed his goodbyes and went to the gym because he was always going to the gym. And I went with Craig, so he looked for a payphone. No cell phone, folks. This was 1994. The nearest one was outside of Fred Siegel's store, the same store that weirdly also features in my episodes of Beverly Hills 90210. Craig threw a few coins in the machine, tapped in the numbers, and waited. Eventually, they patched him through. And then I stood 2 feet away from Craig and listened to him pick the other show. I couldn't believe my fucking ears. So the new lead of Best Friends and I parted ways. I raced home to make another plea to get an audition for Friends Like Us. A few weeks later, I went to the taping of the pilot for Best Friends. It was funny. Craig was funny. And the lead, which is what he really wanted, perfectly fine, cute show. But the final role, available during the entire pilot season of 1994, Chandler and Friends Like Us, was still not cast. And I was still attached to the fucking futuristic baggage Chandler show. You know how sometimes the universe has plans for you that are hard to believe, how the world wants something for you even though you've done your best to close off that avenue? Welcome to my 1994. Embassy producer Jamie Tarsis, oh sweet magical must miss Jamie Tarsis, who was helping to develop Friends Like Us at NBC, apparently turned to her then husband, Dan McDermott, a Fox TV producer, one night in bed. Hey, is this show LAX 2194 going to get picked up? Jamie reportedly said. Dan said, no, it's awful. For a start, it's about baggage handlers in the year 2194. They wear futuristic vests. So is Matthew Perry available? A safe second position, Jamie said. That's how Hollywood speak for available. Ironically, Jamie and I dated for several years much later after she got divorced. A couple days later, I got the phone call that would change my life. You're meeting Martha Kaufman about Friends Like Us tomorrow. And this is no lie. I knew right then and there just how huge it was all going to be. Martha Kaufman, along with David Crane, was the person most responsible for what would become Friends. Next day, a Wednesday, I read as Chandler for her and I broke all the rules. For a start, I didn't carry any pages of the script. You're supposed to carry the script with you when you read because that way you're acknowledging to the writer that it's just a work in progress. But I knew the script so well by this point, of course, I nailed it. Thursday, I read for the production company and nailed it, and Friday, I read for the network. Nailed it again. I read the words in an unexpected fashion, hitting emphasis that no one else had hit. It was back in Ottawa with the Murrays. I got laughs where no one else had. I was cheering up my mother, and Chandler was born. This was my part now, and there was no stopping it. The pilot season in 1994 had cast its final actor, Matthew Perry, as Chandler Bing. Let me take a break here for a second. How's everybody doing? Y'all still with me here? What are y'all talking about in here? Soulshine, how you doing? Oh, you're already talking about that. Hey, Jeff, are you here? You're in a safe place, Jeff. Leslie and Billy, how are you doing? La 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 la. It would be hard to be an actor starting out. You're right. You never watch Friends? Man, that'd be. You need to watch it. It's hilarious. So sad. Yes, he should still be here. But you know what? It's tragic, but at the same time, without it's sad how the most humorous and people that have that life of humor on the screen, they usually are the ones that live life the most in pain because they're constantly making other people laugh, you know? That phone call at Fred Seagul's and Craig's desire to be the star of his own show rather than be part of an ensemble saved my life. I don't know what would have happened to me had the call gone the other way. It is not out of the realms of possibility that I may have ended up on the streets of downtown LA shooting heroin in my arm until my untimely death. I would have loved heroin. It was my opiate addiction on steroids. I've often said that taking oxy is like replacing your blood with warm honey. But with heroin, I would imagine you are the honey. I love the feeling of opiate, but something about the word heroin always scared me. And it's because of the fear that I'm still alive today. There are two kinds of drug addicts, the ones who want to go up and the ones who want to go down. I could never understand the coke guys. Why would anyone want to feel more present, more busy? I was the downer guy. I wanted to melt into my couch and feel wonderful while watching movies over and over again. I was a quiet addict, not the bull in a china shop kind. Sure, without friends, I may have had a career as a sitcom writer. I've already written a pilot called Maxwell's House, but though I had some skills, it hadn't sold. But there was no way I could have been a journeyman actor. I wouldn't have stayed sober for that. It was not worth doing heroin for that. Friends was such a good and fun job that it curtailed everything for a while at least. I was the second baseman for the New York Yankees. I couldn't fuck that up. I would never forgive myself. When you're earning 1 million a week, you can't afford to have the seventh drink. About 3 weeks before my audition for Friends, I was alone in my apartment on Sunset and doing a 10th floor. It was very small, but it had a great view, of course. I was reading in the newspaper about Charlie Sheen. It said that Sheen was yet again in trouble for something, but I remembered thinking, why doesn't he care? He's famous. Out of nowhere, I found myself getting to my knees, closing my eyes tightly, and praying. I had never done this before. God, you can do whatever you want to me. Just please make me famous. 3 weeks later, I got cast in Friends, and God has certainly kept his side of the bargain. But the Almighty, being the Almighty, had not forgotten the first part of the prayer as well. Now, all these years later, I'm certain that I got famous so I would not waste my entire life trying to get famous. You have to get famous to know that it's not the answer. And nobody who is not famous will ever truly believe that. And that's where we are tonight. Another hour well spent. What do y'all think about that? What do y'all think about that? Hello, Heather Fitzgerald. Thank you. Happy birthday again. I hope that you had a good birthday. And I hope that y'all had a good Sunday. Because, sometimes you got to just step back and enjoy the breeze. Jeff, are you still in here? We are at chapter 4 in the book. So if any of you are still in here, it showed like there's 10 of y'all in here. I chose this book because I had read it a couple times And I can relate to Matthew Perry. I really can. I never got the fame he got, obviously, but the struggle was definitely there. The struggle was definitely there. Well, thank you, Aquarius. That's very nice of you to say. You know, sometimes it's during your deepest moments in your own head at night, time for you to empty out the baggage and let yourself relax. I don't know about you guys, but I always have a hard time getting to sleep. My brain goes nonstop. And maybe I need to start journaling again to uh to get it to slow down. Yeah, life is way better now. Life is way better. You would buy it? That's cool. I thought about it. I really have. I even started writing a book way back in the day. I used to write all the time. And you know, when you're in that pain and you find something that helps, sometimes you forget the struggle that could be there if you just stop. You know, I started this back in July 23rd, 20 hold on a second. July 23rd, 2004 was my first entry. And I had just started school for my therapist stuff, so um, it was a long time ago. Yeah, people say I do have a calm, soothing voice. I don't know how to take that. I guess it's a good thing. With the dog in the background barking, you know what I mean? It's awesome. I'm gonna read y'all another entry. Let me see if I can find one that doesn't dox me. You know, life is really short. It's really short. Well, I'm gonna read one that has to do with my transition in faith. And I hope it doesn't run anybody off. I'm not pushing religion or anything like that. I'm just choosing this one to read for you guys, okay? Um yeah, he's been barking for a while. It says, "Good evening. I was watching this video and started a little bit of reminiscing on the beginning of my journey with you, Lord. I know this song is a little older than some of the music out now. I feel close tied to this song because it reminds me of all the questions I had about the Lord, all the aching that I felt that I needed gone. I remember how I was scared to trust in Him and scared to pray because I really never believed people like me would ever get better. I was a lost soul and had been for years and years. I'm sitting here thinking about how it will be like to see Jesus, to see heaven, and we know the glory of the Almighty God. I know a lot of people that are confused on their faith, and even more that don't have any of it at all, or have walked away from it due to being exposed to it so much as a young child. I grew up not knowing much of anything but the darker side of life, and it followed me for years, so accepting Christ was a hard transition for me. But I've kept with it, and I feel that now I have a relationship that isn't just an emergency God, but a God that I understand that is my best friend. I rely on Him when I'm having a great day or when I'm confused and lost. I love you, Lord, for that. I'm not scared of you anymore. I continue to see your glory in all that is around me. I work with the most I work with the most lost of lost. They come in half dead a lot of times and just clueless to how to get out of that rut they're in. I can be empathetic with them, but really, that lost feeling beats in my chest no more. I know what my destiny in life is for God. I'm second on that list of the important things in my life. I had to humble myself enough to do that. I always wanted to be first and above all, run things always. I'm listening to Bring the Rain by Mercy Me, and the rain used to symbolize pain, fear, and powerlessness in my life. I hated the rain, but would like a dark cloud around me everywhere I went. And in my profession, I see a lot that carry that same darkness and lost feeling. I don't get frustrated at this job because for the most part, they don't fight suggestion, but at times if you push too hard, they get scared and fight back with arrogance and a sharp tongue. It's like taming a person who has been in the wild so long that they forget the simplest way of humanity: how to live, how to talk, how to interact without fear. I've really started to understand fear a lot more than before. I know that if it isn't real through faith, all will subside in time. And fearing the unknown is the way of the devil, so to grip your heart, mind, and soul. I write in here not of the look at me, but just to remind myself that sometimes life is really great and doesn't have to be much more than a relationship with God. That's it. Fear and powerlessness, two words that will kill the human spirit. How does one get to the point of admitting it and moving on? Well, for one, you can't do it alone. And another, you need people in your life that will lift you up and not judge you. Even sometimes a simple criticism, no matter how constructive, can tear down a wall of progress. We fear what we cannot change. We feel others' perceptions of us. We feel everything that has nothing to do with how we are to live. But we act if our God is small and can't do it all for us. All of this person I am describing, so that is why I can talk so openly about it. I feared it all: love, acceptance, kindness, and you name it. If it was positive, I didn't want it in my life. Long cause I didn't want it in my life long because I didn't know how to hang on to it. Or if I did, I would damage it. But I craved it like a drug. Don't know if that makes any sense. It's like chasing your tail over and over, year after year, day after day, declaring change and falling into the same pit you left. Awareness is a wonderful thing. I don't go to meetings. I don't do anything but go to church. I found all I needed there. I have talked to some people that are kind and leading me to understand a lot more. Not that I haven't ever had this in my life, just not fighting it anymore. That's hard to believe, I know. But hey, I'm done. Thank you, Jesus. May I not be a diversion for someone wanting to know you. May I be a beacon in the dark to lead them to you. Did I run anybody off? Yeah. You're welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you. That's kind. That's really kind. I'm sure people feel the same way about you guys. I'm sure people feel the same way about you guys. You know, one thing about getting to the point of change, it took me a long time to get there. It took me a long time to get there. I worked so hard every single day, just fixated on how broken I was. And I never thought that I would see anything other than the clouds. Cal wrote a lot of poetry about it. I wrote a lot of poetry about the darkness, the clouds, everything that hurt. I don't know if you've ever been to the point where you're sitting outside and the wind's blowing and your skin hurts and it's crawling and you don't know what to do about it. You're too scared to go on. You're too lost to want to breathe. But you just don't know. Something has to change. And sometimes you just got to hang on. You just got to hang on. Because it does change. Like I just said, I could identify with Matthew Perry, where he said, I don't know if I like people or not. I used to say that all the time, except I would say I hate people. I would say that all the time. I used to say that all the time. I hate people. Yeah, help is on the way. I'm glad that I'm not there anymore, but I see so many broken people. See so many broken people, but you can't reach them if they're not willing to understand the brokenness. And I'll say it like that because you may know that you're in pain, you may know that things are wrong, but you don't trust anybody or anything, so it never changes. It never changes. Let me read one more to you. Hopefully, this one doesn't have anything that doxes me. I do like people today. This one says 100 days have made me older. And if you don't know what that song is from, it's from Three Doors Down, Here Without You. My mood when I wrote this, flighty. This was from January 3rd, 2004. It says, Hey, journal. I just finished a slice of pizza and sitting around the house thinking. I've been in the house all day and man, it's killing my insides. I'm listening to that song because of all the things that song helped me through. I've been on a journey of self discovery for almost 7 months, and one thing that I still can't kick, that is the patience of letting go at the right time. The song is talking about a girl. One of my previous entries, I've touched on that topic, and for the most part, was never clear on a lot of things concerning my exes. I don't sit around and live in the past about them, but at times their memories stir and nostalgia kicks in. I had just moved to a different area, so that's what I'm fixing to talk about. It says, I definitely need friends in this area and can't wait till it warms up because I will be able to go outside a lot more. I sat around today and I watched football on just a blah day. I miss people but want to be in this house alone. Isn't that weird? Agoraphobia at its finest. I think I'm crazy most of the time. I am shuffling back and forth mentality of desire and reality. I want what I can't have, and what I can, I don't mix well with it, and therefore don't appreciate it until it's too late. Well, that is the 411 of my relationships. I thought if I fixed the person that would avoid shorten the bridge between complacency and insanity of the mind. Well, for the most part, that has happened. It's gotten out of school and starting the next level of my job. Blada blada. I should be more excited, but I'm not really. It's like, okay, now what? More hours? Okay. I have a thing inside me that has been programmed to be short term and to give as much as I can at the moment and never was programmed for the long duration of a marathon. I guess that's why I haven't been married or even close. I don't think I really want to get married or have kids. At times, then I do. Goodness, such a back and forth battle of will over what will be. Is it natural to feel a battle of your own will and the forces that be? I'm appreciative of all that's been brought to my foreground and the sanity I experience on most days. But the constant mind juggling effect that goes on in my head kills me. I can't just see things for what they are. If they're calm, I want to speed them up. Or if they're fast and chaotic, I want to slow them down. I never see it for what it is, I guess. Scared that it won't be what I made it up in my mind, I guess. A lot of people think I'm a great person, but one person didn't, and he ruined it. I think for the rest of my life, no matter how much people tell me otherwise, I still hear those words, those feelings when what I really want at the time doesn't happen. It's like a slap in the face. Do we ever get satisfied in our own skins? Shit, it's like a crawling worm that eats at your soul when it's at its riches. Sleep hurts me. I dream too much. The past creeps and everything is a day is okay in my dreamland, then I wake up and I'm here, somewhere caught in between yesteryear and tomorrow. Sad for the people I miss the most and trying to find peace in the fact that we all lose special people in our lives. I can pray, I can read, I can hear others, but in my mind, a silent hell rages on, and I run to the seclusion of the hearing to read the pain, to rid the pain of the unknown, uncomfortable requiem of life. To the drug addict that is always jonesing, well, that is my life. Always jonesing while the consensus says that peace is a slow, different life. I lived life so messed up for so long, and I'm sick of using that phrase. I'm sick of it. Oh well, my life sucked. Now what? Why does the feeling never rid itself? All the good stuff in my world where I seem to want to dwell in the unhappy and chaos of the ones that aren't happy and well, the addicts and alcoholics, the insane. I feel at home here. Does it make me one? A fine line between greatness and insanity, they say. Why do I always seem to stray to the one that isn't great? But in my mind, it's frozen in calmness while my brain burns a million thoughts a second. So, God, I am today as I have been without the band aid to hide my wounds as they seep today. Please help me make it one moment at a time to achieve the sanity that most have naturally. As I sink further in this field, all the psychobabble gets me so torn inside. The good, the recover, the right and the wrong, the simplicity, while the part of me that isn't in that just exists. Where does life begin? Where can we know stuff and still live without it consuming our every being? Later journal. In the words of creativeness, do we ever learn to thy own will be done unless we wake up and it's already done? The wait kills the eternal soul. Peace and God bless my mind to slow down today. Going to clean or something to make it stop. I can't sleep. Only hurts when I dream. There we go. Soulshine, how are you? How are y'all doing? Well, that was in 2004. That was the beginning of the transition. You know, many people, my clients, they don't believe half the time when I tell them of the journey, when I tell them where I started from, how I got here, because they see the finished product, and by no means am I finished on my journey, just a work in progress. Every day you wake up, you give yourself another opportunity to make this thing called life a little better than yesterday. Sometimes we have to laugh. Sometimes we can't take life so serious because, it causes a lot of problems. Causes a lot of problems in life if we take it so serious. It doesn't mean that we joke around with our lives. It means that we cherish the things that are truly important, the things that we can change, the things that we can make grow. And here's an example that I want to give you guys, okay? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I've always heard that. If I took some apple seeds and I opened up your hand and I stuck the apple seed in your hand, I'm going to ask you this question and I want you to think before you answer. What do you see in your hand? See how ambitious your brain is, or how little you see your life? What do you see? Type it in the chat, because a lot of you will know a lot about you. What do you see? A future tree. Okay. Anybody else see anything different than a tree? A seeding that can grow. Okay. What else do you see? I gave you the seed. What do you see? Anybody else? I was playing mine earlier. Some seeds. Okay. Well, do you want me to give you a little bit of insight on this? And you can use this with your students, typically unique. You can see where they're at and where their mind is. You can say, look, kind of like what Heidi said, a future tree. People are going to say, well, okay, you see a future tree. What do you see? And then you can say, well, I see apples on a tree. And then what else do you see? Well, I see people picking the apples and eating them. Okay, then what do you see? And then you go on and on and on until you can see a lot of potential. And then you tell them, okay, once you eat the apples that started with just one seed, you can plant another seed to make another dream grow. And it can go just the same. It's hard to do it on the it's hard to explain this when I don't have somebody in front of me to show the explanation. I hope y'all get it. It's like it started from a seed and it can grow into anything you want it to be, as long as you're looking ahead with a goal, a purpose. Because some people will just see the seed. And if you just see the seed, that means that you have no real goals that you want to accomplish. I hope that makes sense. Yes, adding details. Another thing. All right, here's another one. Let's say you plant a flower, okay? You dig. How deep would you have to dig to plant a flower? Somebody give me a distance to plant that flower. How deep would you have to dig? Okay, 6 inches. All right, I got you. Just any flower. Just any flower. 6 to 7 inches. Okay, we'll dig 6 to 7 inches, and we'll put. That's fine. That's fine, soul. You're good. So we'll dig that 6 to 7 inches, and we'll put that seed of that flower in the dirt. You know. So if we're gonna plant a tree seed, you're gonna need to dig deeper, right? So you're gonna dig deeper to plant that seed, that tree seed. So you dig that hole, you plant the tree seed, and the flower is going to grow really quickly, right? It's going to grow quicker than the tree. But what happens once the flower is saying, look at me, I'm growing so fast, I'm growing so fast," and the tree's saying, "Well, I'm growing slow. I won't ever see sunshine." The flower's saying, "I'm almost to the top. I almost can feel it." The tree's like, "I'm still growing. I won't ever get to see sunshine." So the flower finally breaks through the soil. I see it. I see it. I can feel it. It's so warm. It's beautiful up here. And the tree's like, well, I'm almost there, but I still don't see the sunshine or feel it. Life is terrible. And then what happens is the flower has no sense of protection from the sun. It starts to wilt. And then the tree says, guess what? I'm about to break through the soil. I can feel the sunshine. And the flower's not as happy because it's starting to wilt. And it's used all its energy to get to the top as fast as possible. The tree's growing and growing and growing. And all of a sudden the tree supplies some shade for the flower. And it brings the flower back to life so it's not wilting. And it also becomes a home for a bird's nest, for birds to be able to be in the branches. Squirrels harbor their nuts in the tree. The moral of the story is it doesn't matter how fast you grow. It's your outlook on life and how patient you are to be a miracle to other people. That sometimes all that you need is not sunshine. Sometimes you need someone to help you when it gets too hard. I hope y'all enjoyed that. Like I said, it's hard to do these things without without people in front of you, without me being able to show you on a piece of paper or whatever. I mean, like on Zoom, I could at least have, the share board where you could draw and you could do all that other stuff. So I hope you all enjoyed that because sometimes we take for granted, well, I don't have this or I don't have that, or maybe you might reach a goal really fast and then you just kind of fall off and it takes you forever to start back up. It's kind of like the gym, I cannot get myself to the gym no matter what. It's like I tell myself, you need to go to the gym. You need to go. You need to go. Okay, I'll go tomorrow. Tomorrow comes, guess what? Another day without the gym. I don't know what it is. I have that mental block that won't let me go. I just can't do it. I need to find a purpose. Need to find a purpose because sure, it makes you gain muscle and all that other superficial stuff, but after all that, then what? You know? I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm trying. I need to go. 12 needs a woman around. For what? To tell me to go to the gym? Get your butt to the gym. I might need a trainer. That's what I need. I don't know. Yeah, I need to go to the gym. I have a dad bod right now. Kind of let the other muscled body kind of fade. See, I'm going to show you what it looked like when I was goring all the time. That's what it looked like when I was going all the time. It doesn't look like that right now. Hopefully again. Hopefully again. There you go. Could get some AI to build me some abs. There I go. Yeah. That's what I looked like when I was going. Don't look like that right now, so don't get all excited. Go to the gym. See, you can tell in this picture I'm not as built up like that. I've never been a gym rat though. I don't like it. I don't like it. I told you don't get all excited because they're not like that right now. So don't get all excited. I mean, they're just a person, just a person. Yeah, the treadmill's cool. I don't know. I got to get refocused. I don't know what's up with my focus right now, but I got to get refocused. I wasn't drinking sodas. I am drinking sodas like it's going out of style. It's just like I've let myself slide back into old habits. I guess one of the things is I don't like the gym here. Like I miss my old gym where I used to live. It was a lot nicer. With the same gym, but it was a lot nicer and it's like this gym, it just I don't know, it just something to it. It just you know. Yeah, I have a heavy bag and I have a speed bag. Yeah, I got one of those. Yeah, I need to get back on the water thing. I was drinking a lot of water and like I said, I've just gotten really complacent this summer and it's kind of, I'm get the mindset saying, "Okay, do it." The body saying, "No." Dang. No, my back can't handle it. I herniated a lower disc in 2018. I couldn't walk for 2 weeks, and I'm kind of I'm kind of leery about doing any kind of leg stuff. And yeah, that's exactly right, Tanel. That's right. The candida, whatever that is, the candida is telling me no. So is that probably the sugar or what? Yeah, I don't know if it's because it's like hot and cold and hot and cold and just weird weather. I mean, it's I'm praying for all the people that are like in South Carolina and Florida and all that stuff. I hope they're okay. That's what, yeah, you're right. The parasites say need sugar. You're right. I knew I heard that word before. I just couldn't place it. Yeah. Yeah, I've been I'll get there. I know how to get out of this funk. I just have to I'm not one of those people that can just get so low and then start midway through anything. If you've learned anything by me reading you my journal entries, I got to hit bottom before I bounce back up and I come up with a vengeance. And I'm not at the bottom yet. And that, you know, I bet you wouldn't. I bet you would have me like in tip top shape in no time. All of you that are like talking about, getting in shape. I appreciate that. That would working out with 12 gauge. We need to like put you on panel where you like yelling at me, go, go. Do men have menopause? Because I'm freaking out. I don't know. I don't know. I tried to come up before I hit the bottom. I hate the bottom. I hate even getting close. I bet you don't, baby, anybody. I bet you like get them going. No tears, no crying. Get up. But that's good. That's good. That's what they say. A lot of women say they like dad bods. They don't like all that muscle stuff, but I don't know. I do not know. No, I think what it is honestly is I have a very strict routine that I follow, and I've been off that routine because school's on break and I'm about to start back up with school, and I usually incorporate working out with the school plus the YouTube stuff and all that. So, it I'll get back on a routine. It just taking a break, I guess. Yeah, that also. That also. Rhonda's probably a slave driver. She's like, "Come on, hit those ropes. Get them going. My arms are about to fall off." No, that's not an excuse. Keep them going. Keep them going. That's cool. Yeah, being busy is part of life. This YouTube thing's a hobby for me. I enjoy it though. I've met some good people along the way. Yeah, he can chat here. I've always, people's disagreements have no bearing on where Jeff is at, especially here. I mean, I'm not letting that stuff come in here. So, he can come in here and chat. And I'm sure people understand it. I mean, just something that you do, you know what I mean? Thank you. Yeah, there's no drama here. There's no drama. And if there is, I will block you. No qualms about it. That's not a threat. Don't like threatening people. I just like telling them what's going to happen. Because we're all adults. There's no need to be treating each other like children, you know? But people do reach their breaking point. When you try to be civil with people sometimes, people reach their breaking points. I have my breaking points. Yeah. Yeah, that video was hilarious. That little boy, that little baby. I mean, that's what I laugh at. I wasn't laughing at Tommy. I wasn't laughing at any of that stuff. I mean, I thought anytime I hear that little baby saying what he says, it's like, man, that is interesting how they caught that baby saying that. Not really a baby. I would say he's probably about 2 years old, if that. But it's hilarious. That's why I'm so ready for this trial to get here and be done with, because I believe that there's been a lot of people that have been hurt by this case that don't even realize that, they've created obstacles in their lives that don't necessarily have to be there. Jeff does great work. I mean, he does great work with his audio, visual, and stuff. I'm not faulting him one bit, you know? Like I said, I've had people from that channel come into my channel and attack me. Actually, I had one this morning doing it. I didn't block her, but I was just like, what is your problem? And people talk about mob mentality. Well, that is mob mentality at its finest. When you mob up against somebody and you're might as well have been, carrying fire and pitchforks. But I'm not trying to get into drama. But I do, Jeff knows he's able to come in here and chat. Like I said, nobody's gonna say anything mean to him either while he's on panel or in here, or they won't be allowed in here. I've proven that even before this. Jeff and I have a very good working relationship. Oh, I was talking about this same creator that Jeff has issues with this morning, and I was talking about how you could go find the proof in some of his videos of what he had said, and they were saying that I was gross for shaming him and all this other stuff. It's you know, you can go find exactly what we're talking about in his videos. He has no qualms about believing what he believes, and that's fine. That's fine. I don't understand either. Yeah, I didn't have the chat replaying for some reason. I don't know why the chat didn't replay, but there was a person in here. I mean, there's been multiple people from his channel that come over here that don't agree with what I say, and they're trying to just oust me like that. I mean, one thing I'm going to tell people, and I've told them, and I hope they understand this, that I'm not about making videos and I'm not about doing all that mess. I know your emails, and I will email you if I have a problem with you. And if you have a problem with me, find a way to get at me. If I don't agree with your stuff, I'm going to speak on it. There's nothing you can do about it. You don't like it, you're going to cry, you're going to, throw a temper tantrum, you're going to, do what you do. That's on you. Adults don't play games. I don't have time for games. I don't have time for games. Yeah, exactly. I've had many people stand in front of me with their chest out trying to get the best of me in front of groups and everything else, trying to intimidate me. I won't have it in my real life. I'm not going to have it on a fake life like on YouTube. And I don't have to put my chest out and beat on it to show how much of a man I am. Real men are able to walk away without having to scream and shout into a microphone to show that you're a man and then claim you have health issues. Well, you should know that if you're going to be doing all that, you need to calm down. Go sit down somewhere. Go sit down in the wheelchair that you said you have to use or the walker. Shouldn't be on live screaming at the mic. You know? Yeah. But let's not talk about that anymore. We were having a good talk. Let's kind of get away from that. I don't want to end this live on a bad note. You know? That's between them. Let's not feed into it. I'll let you know if she comes in here again. But to get back on a good note, I hope that you guys do understand that there are people that just they don't see good in anything in life. I was one of those people, so I can speak on it. You know what I mean? I can speak on it. I've read about it. I've talked about it. So I can speak about it. I speak about my own life. I never saw the good in anything or anybody. I was always angry, just like some of these creators. I was always looking for arguments. I was always looking for a fight because I figured that if I could fight enough, I'd battle out of my own insecurities, my own pain, my own drama, everything. But it never happened. All it did was cause me more pain, drama, and insecurities. And in the end, all it did was leave me hurting people. I used to tell people I was a thief. Not because I would steal your belongings, but I would steal your heart. I would steal your trust. I would steal your love, and I'd let you enable me. But that enabling only got me sicker, you know? It only got me sicker. And I'm glad that don't have to live that way anymore. You know what I can tell you in 2024? Real men still exist. The sad state of mind is many people don't think they need them in their lives. They still are out there, though. Just because you have a strong man doesn't make you a weak woman. There's a lot of strong men and strong women that make a hell of a couple. I've seen it. You know, I've seen it. It's actually a wonderful thing to see a power couple. It really is. You know, power couples are something to behold. You know what I was thinking about doing? I was going to ask my boss this. I was thinking about running for coroner. Like if they're elected here, I'm thinking about running to be the coroner. I want to be the coroner. This is a small area, kind of like Moscow, so I could have many hats and also be the coroner. You think I could be a good coroner? I'm sure a lot of people have been through a lot. You should give yourself a big hug and be thankful that you're still here. Yeah, 12 gauge versus Mavitt. Yeah. No, that's the medical examiner. That would be the other part. The coroner would just be the one that shows up to the scene and pronounces it dead and identifies the method of death. And that's it. Yeah, and I couldn't do the medical examiner part. That would just be too much. No, she's only the coroner. They actually they send her stuff to Spokane, I think. She was an attorney. She's an attorney. I think she was a registered nurse, and she's a coroner. I think she has all those things under her belt. I'm sure she's a very lovely lady. I mean, I can't imagine being thrust into the spotlight. You know, you're doing your job, and then all of a sudden you're going to this murder scene, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're in front of all these cameras, having to answer all these questions, not sure what to answer, not sure how to answer it, just know how you've done it in the past. Gosh, that would be stressful in itself. You know, that would be stressful. Well, she got there late because she can't actually do anything until the investigation is done. So that's why it took her so long to actually get on the scene because, well, the police could tell her that, you know, the police could tell her that they were in their beds or wherever. I mean, so it just, hell no, I wouldn't. Looking for nudes? Isn't that what that one cop did? No, I wouldn't do that. That's terrible. Wow, that's terrible. No, I thought you were talking about the Karen Reed case. I thought in the Karen Reed case, that's what happened. Well, Robert with True Crime podcast just popped up. He's gonna expose the Gonzalez. What's it say? He said he's gonna expose the Gonzalez. I'm exposing the shocking truth about the Gonzalez family GoFundMe. Wonder what that's about. I'm over that case. I really am. The one time I asked a serious question, I mean, my brother's girl, that's how she was found, and yet they never even accessed her phone to see what was happening in her life. Okay. Okay. Wasn't sure what you were talking about. Sorry. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to make any. I've never made any videos about the families. I'm not about to start. Yeah, I'm sorry about that too, Heather. I thought you were talking about Karen Reed. I didn't even I didn't even put two and two together. But um I guess I'm going to keep reading out of this book this week. Um See how far we get. We are on chapter 4. Matthew Perry was an interesting character. Interesting character, you know. It's interesting to hear somebody's insecurities who you view as being so famous. It's like peeling back a portion of the curtain behind the scenes, making that person real to you. I'm really glad he wrote the book. I mean, I'm sad that he's no longer here, but you know, him peeling back that curtain to show it that he was a real person with insecurities and all the things that he's gone through so far. It's like, wow, you would have never thought that he dealt with all that stuff because we put people on a pedestal, whether we realize it or not, you know? And like he said, he only wanted to be famous. And he realized once he became famous, it really wasn't much different between being famous and not famous. Aquarius, you really don't like people. I'm a very cautious person when it comes to people. When I meet somebody, I'm not standoffish, but I'm friendly, but I don't give my trust that easily, you know? I'm not one of those people that gives my trust really easily. Talking about real men working out and getting all worked up. Thanks, guys. Some cautious life. Everyone is sus. So, if you haven't seen Friends, you might go watch it. I mean, it's a show that you can watch that and Seinfeld. I mean, you can watch Seinfeld if you're having a bad day. It's gonna make you laugh whether you want to or not. You know what I mean? You watch Seinfeld and it's bound to make you laugh. I mean, even if it's not funny to you, you're gonna eventually laugh. You know, it's just wow. You know, yeah. I have mine still. Also thankful for that. You don't like Seinfeld or Friends? Seinfeld's pretty funny, man. It's hilarious. No, you're not lame, dude. I mean, it takes a while to grow on you, you know. But it's a funny show. I could never watch Cheers. Cheers was one of those shows I couldn't watch. It was stupid to me, you know what I mean? But I can watch Friends. I can watch a lot of those comedies. You realize we've almost been on here for 2 hours? I can't believe that y'all stay around to listen to me talk. I appreciate that more than you realize. I really do. I mean, I started off with 5 people, 5 subs, and I thought, you know what? Nobody's ever going to be in here wanting to listen to me talk, you know? And yeah, Three's Company was funny. I'm glad y'all do. I'm glad y'all do. Y'all are all from Ohio, pretty much. I know some of you aren't, but seems like there's a lot of people from Ohio in these chats. That's suspect in itself. So shine for Jesus. I still have both my parents. My mom is paralyzed in a wheelchair. I care for her 24/7. She's my whole life. Aw, mine are elderly. Also, my mom, she had double knee surgery in 2019, so she doesn't really walk the fastest, but she's still getting around. My dad also. Ohio be filled with the sussiest of the sus. I've only been through Ohio. I've never stayed there. Like, it's crazy. Cleveland, Ohio. I was there. I went through there on a bus and I stopped in Cleveland. Akron. Okay. Is that where they have the university at? University of Akron? Or Akron University or whatever it's called? Yeah, you're right. You're right to know. I hear that. You're right between Cleveland and Columbus. Wow. You're in Ohio also? Buckeye peanut butter candy. That sounds good. What? Black squirrels? Never even heard of that. Yeah, I did a live on that, Heather. I did a live in my library on that lady. That was crazy. We have black squirrels. Wow. That sounds like Reese's peanut butter cups. Buckeye candy. Black squirrels. What's the difference between a black and a brown squirrel? Wow. I have a big fat brown squirrel that's on in the tree outside my house and it lays there and eats all day long for like 3 hours at a time. Yeah, most squirrels are gray. These are brown here. Y'all say they're black. They're darker. We were walking home from kindergarten and the little boy reached and grabbed a squirrel by the tail. Wow. Wow. I'm not supposed to be laughing at that, but I just pictured that. That is terrible. The two-tone squirrel. I was like, what is that? There's solid black and solid white squirrels have different colored tails. I used to have a pet squirrel. Aw. We have a gray squirrels in Virginia. Nice. It was crazy. We were tiny. We were only 5 and 6 years old. All I remember is he had a yellow raincoat and there was blood all over it. I bet. Goodness, that must have been terrible to see. Cherish her. Cherish the moments for sure. Black body with an orange tail. Wild. It literally sits on a fence and screams at my dog. I love squirrels. He's eaten most of the sunflowers and eats 1/4 of an apple before going to the next one at a tree. He's so silly. The dog will sit at the bottom of the tree and watch him. They do that to the cat. We have raccoons over here, and I see a fox walking through the yard early in the morning. Foxes are cool too. Where I live now, we have gray and a fox, red. Yeah, this one's red too. It's a little bitty thing. It looks like a dog, kinda. Foxes are kind of they're lean and they kind of walk with a strut. My cats love to watch the squirrels from the window and the birdies. I bet they do. I bet they have a good time. An orange and black squirrel sounds like a Halloween squirrel. The chipmunks be messing with my cat too. I've never seen a chipmunk. I've always seen squirrels. I thought they were the same thing. No, I've never seen that. Wow. I have apple trees on my property. Lots of animals come around for that in the garden in the summer. Jeff, they're real. How cool is that? I'd love to watch him in the morning. I've only seen one in the wild. Actually, it's not a beaver. Okay. I say, do you want to see the birdies out the window? And they run and jump on the cat tree. Chipmunks are tiny. Okay, I've never seen one then. I've seen a groundhog before. Beavers have huge tails. Chipmunks are so cute. They're so fun to watch play. They're super active. They're pretty small. Guinea pig, bigger than a hamster. Beavers are scary. Red squirrels are called fox squirrels. I have foxes too. We have a bear. Good grief, show up and we're never had a black bear in Illinois. I'm a Chicago Bears fan, so Chicago, Illinois. I haven't met a pile of dirt. I haven't loved. We don't care and let them what they want. They love the pumpkins. I bet. Chipmunks are super friendly. Are they really? I've never seen one. I mean, I've seen the ones on the cartoon, but I've never seen a real one. I have a Bear jersey. Does that count? They won today. They won today. I have honeysuckle that's on a lattice and no lie. Two birds nest with about a dozen birds in there. I bet your dog goes crazy over that. Or is he cool with the birds? Yes, they're friendly. It's weird. The Bears versus the Vikings was the first NFL game I saw years ago. It was so loud. I bet that was awesome. Currently, the animals are eating the sweet corn. I haven't picked yet. The squash and pumpkin still growing. Australia is terrifying. Never better. He loves it outside. I bet he does. My ex father in law had a little family of chipmunks that lived in his yard for a decade. They would come on his porch and eat the peanuts. He would leave and we would watch him play. The bear just left one day and last week he showed back up swimming in someone's pond. Oh my gosh. Black bears. Goodness. We have cam drying for the squirrel. Aussie spiders are favorite too. Huge for me. The spiders are big as houses. Y'all must live out there in the woods or something, like in the country. Y'all have tarantulas out there where you are at? We have snakes. My mom and dad, they feed their cat. They have like outside cats, so they have this little feeding thing that live like on a ranch slash farm. And I swear every day is a different animal out there. They have a chicken that walked up. They had guineas. They have raccoons that come and eat with the cats. The cat just chill and eat with anybody. I mean, they don't try to kill them. They don't try to fight with them. It's interesting to watch all that. Okay, Wyoming on 120 acres. Okay, I can see it now. You have a pond. Australian spiders, the woods, big snakes. Yeah, rattlesnakes. I want to have a hobby farm someday. Yeah, the snakes are they're it's getting colder, so they're coming out because they like the cold weather, you know? Coldest snakes. Wolf spiders, I've heard of them. Daddy longlegs, I've heard of them as well. I don't do guineas. They're scary. They like to chase you. And they're scary looking. Yeah, they're big. They're big old guineas. I tell you, they have a different set of animals all the time, and they don't mess with my mom and dad. They just come and eat the cat food and leave. I have three raccoons that live in my cat's house with them. Yeah, had to go get my cat a rabies shot. Yeah, Twizzle texts me Spider Pig's awesome because he knows how much I dislike spiders. Oh my gosh, I had wolf spiders in my garage in my house when I lived in Kentucky. They were so huge. Almost stepped on one barefoot. Good Lord. Twizzle. New Zealand had daddy longlegs. They're cool and they eat the whitetails, our only issue. Getting to eat all the mosquitoes. I would call 911. Yeah, that's good thing about guineas that they eat the mosquitoes, you know. They eat all the gosh, mosquitoes are as big as I don't know what. They're huge after a rain around here. I'll be listening to chat, but I won't be able to read it. If I don't get before you guys leave, hope everybody. You have a great night also. Be safe out there. Be safe. Thank you for being here once again. We enjoy your company. You're always welcome here. Wolf spiders are bad here. I'm in southern Illinois. Okay. I bet it gets cold up there in Illinois and Ohio. Aren't the Great Lakes around there? That's where where all the snow and all that comes from. It's starting to cool down here in Texas. I think it was like 87 today. It was up to like 90 and 102 probably a couple weeks ago. Yeah. No, I'm not in the storm, thank God. I'm in Texas, so we don't really get a lot of that. Sometimes we get some rain, but not very often. You're less than a mile from Lake Erie. Wow. No, thankfully we don't get much of hurricanes up here. I'm in the northern part of the state. 69 and raining. Yeah. I don't know how old you are, but the memory sometimes fades and you know what's so crazy? I'll get to work in the morning and I watch myself lock my door before I get out. I shut the door, I check the handle, And on the way to open the door of the building, I'm still clicking my clicker to make sure that the door is locked in my truck. Anybody else do that? I'm losing my mind. I don't know what's up with all that. Kenosha, Wisconsin, until we got 6 feet of snow. Wow. Yeah, I used to live in Delaware as a kid, and we used to get snow so big, so tall that we'd make tunnels and little igloos and stuff when we were kids. I have a gun. Yes, I do. Literally, the disappearing act is worse than seeing one. Yeah, I live in the snow belt. Yeah, it's always nice to get snow until you have to shovel it or your car won't start because it's been out there in the cold. You do it all the time. Yeah, it's terrible. We don't really get snow here where I'm at. We get ice more than anything. And the ice is terrible, that black ice. Do you own cowboy boots? No, I don't wear cowboy boots. No, I don't have a cowboy hat. I'm not a cowboy. Sorry. No, I don't. I don't do the cowboy thing. I'm more like I guess I've been mistaken a lot of times for being a coach or something like that. That's how I dress, pretty much. I couldn't see more. I couldn't see out my doors. I had someone come and dig me out. I packed and left as soon as I could get to. Wow. Yeah, that is crazy. Where you'd be snowed in, you can't get out. I hate everything except sunshine. Yeah. I was gonna go move to Florida in 2004, 2010, I think it was. I was gonna move to Florida and be a beach bum. I was gonna sell umbrellas on the beach and dolphin tours and live in a little bungalow. I had it all figured out. I bet you were panicked. God, that would be terrible to be snowed in. Yeah, winter's coming here, so summer is going there. I enjoy the rain. I just don't enjoy like the hail that comes from it. I don't think I want to go to Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, or South Carolina. I love those places right on the beach. Yeah, they have beautiful beaches. I went to Alabama this past, when was it? I think it was August, the end of August. Went there for 2 weeks, or a week. I'm sorry. I'm claustrophobic anyway. And that, yeah, I bet it did. We got a bad ice storm and the electricity and water went out for like about 4 days and it totally shut everything down. 2 winters back, it was like 30. Couldn't even potty fast enough or his paws would start to freeze. Good Lord. He doesn't like his boots. Yeah, winter's coming here, but it's better than his paws getting hurt. You're right. Hope that rash got better. I got trapped in my Airstream when it snowed and froze the door shut. Good Lord. I bet that was terrible. I would panic not knowing if we could get out before the next storm hit. You're right. Negative 30? Good grief. I've watched those videos when people go into those caves. I've seen one where this guy got trapped and he kept falling further and further and he eventually died. They couldn't get to him. I lived in Montgomery, Alabama when I was 19. I worked at a roller rink one night. Somebody started shooting. I'd only been there for a week. Dang. I died to have an Airstream. Yeah, thank God it took forever. It seemed 2 weeks ago he got into a ground hornet's nest. It was freaking insane. He's a little inquisitive thing. Got got too big of a word for me to say. I would have burnt up my hair dryer trying to get out of that door. You're right. Oh, glitter, that's horrible. I'm sorry. Yeah, it would. I've uh I've went to Alabama. In Alabama, there's a lot of friendly people, but it's the touristy side of town, or the touristy side of the area by the beach. And the same thing in Mississippi. There's some nice people. I've never been to Georgia. I've been to the panhandle of Florida all the way down. I've wanted to go to Clearwater Beach. I've been to the other side. I've been to Daytona, Jacksonville, um, St. Augustine. I wanted to go to Miami, never made it. I like that state. Yeah, they do the dumbest things sometimes. I didn't realize the Bahamas was as close as it is to Florida. You could like take a boat. I was watching some videos of that hurricane in Clearwater. It literally like flooded the whole area. I mean, that whole area, anyways, it's like Everglades. So once the water rises, it's almost washing the whole place away. Florida is too lizardly for you. Yeah, I was born in Georgia. I grew up all over the South and the coast mostly. I've lived all over the place. My dad was a Marine. My ex-husband was a Marine. Gotcha. Yeah, you could take a boat to the Bahamas. You have a cousin that moved to Florida. Do they like it? No alligators? Yeah, I've also watched some videos on YouTube where, people they have swimming pools in Florida and they wake up and they got to look in the swimming pool before they dive in because there could be alligators in the pool. I thought the chlorine would like scare them off, but it doesn't. Hope your cousin is safe from the hurricane. I washed him right away and used topical and oral med to help him. It was absolute. I bet. So I planned on moving there. Now, nope, not after all the hurricanes. We don't have anything in New Zealand that can kill us except our politicians and medical industry. But that's bad enough. When I lived in South Carolina, I remember my dad would take my brother and chase his fishing holes, and there would be gators just walking around. Yeah, I bet. I've seen a gator in a park that I walked around in Panama City. That thing was just looking to eat you. Swimming with gators. That's smart thinking. I would have been scared to death. They're smaller than we are. Poor guy. If there were gators walking around my children, but nobody phased. And drunk drivers and criminals, I guess. Maybe some here disease, anyways. How could you not run from a gator? That's what I heard, Rondi. I heard they're fast also just for being that small. Like they'll drag you into the water and start doing that death roll, and it's a wrap. It's a wrap. Something I heard also because I go to New Orleans a lot, and when Katrina hit, they hit that aquarium right there on the coast, and they had sharks and all kinds of stuff that went into the Gulf that they never caught. So there's sharks that are swimming around that area, and they've even been seen like in Alabama, Florida, those areas. And bull sharks, I didn't know were sharks that swim in salty and um like regular water, like lake water or whatever. I didn't know that. Yeah, the death roll is where they spin in the water. They like grab you and they're spinning in the water, and they, where you can't get away and you suffocate and drown. You appreciate me right now, huh? Well, thank you. That's crazy because once you take a shark out of the whatever enclosure it's in, grows huge. Yeah, I would think that too, but they have one that they tagged, I think, but they just can't find it. It's been seen all over in the Gulf. Makes me like them even less. Yeah, brackish water, the bull sharks. And I never knew that. So it's like I was thinking, man, a damn bull shark in a lake or something? That'd be some scary stuff. Oh my gosh, I'm not gonna dream about that. I'm not gonna dream about alligator. You know what? I was watching a documentary one day, and I think they were saying that some orca whales were killing sharks off the coast of New Zealand. I think that's where the biggest um area of orca whales are, or whatever, or maybe sharks. I can't remember. One of the two. Well, anyway, the orcas were killing sharks off, and they were saying that they were doing study to see if it's going to affect the ocean life because of the cycle of life. So you know we need to keep a look in that. I mean, even off the coast of California, I heard that they were um doing some studies on that. Well, thank you for being here, Soul Sunshine. You're welcome anytime. Anytime. Anytime I'm live, come on in here. I have some weird topics, and sometimes I cuss a little bit, so you might excuse that from time to time. Sometimes I get a little ghetto, you know. No, they were killing them or because they were trying to kill their babies. And another thing is like they were killing fishermen because the fishermen were trying to kill the orcas or the babies, and the orcas were teamed together and knock the propellers off the engines, and it would strand the fishermen out there, and they would end up dying because they couldn't get help to them. It was crazy. Animals are smart. Yeah, yeah, they are. They're battling it out on the coast of New Zealand. You as well. Be safe. So Sean. Bit of a bad boy, 12 gauge. What do you mean? The whole are sick of getting a bad rap for sharks hanging out with them. Sounds like a coup. I guess they do kill them to sell and eat. Orcas are amazing. You're right. If a peacock wasn't my spirit animal, it would be an orca. You think our political issues are happening in all species? You just never know. Just in different levels. Orcas are profiling sharks off the coast of New Zealand. The PCR proved it. That's sad. They're amazing to watch. Yes, they are. Dolphins are so cool. There's there's some smart animals. Dolphins are. Yeah, I think everything that's going on in the world, I think it's affecting all animals and species. They're smart. Two Dalmatians yesterday, and I said, "That want any of those dogs, they'll get you." Then I looked at him and laughed. I said, "Oh shit, what people say when they see you." I'd love to go on a cruise and watch the dolphins swim next to the ship. That's awesome to see, isn't it? Orcas are super smart too, like that. Yeah, Free Willy was an orca. Don't forget your orange shirt tomorrow. I'll have to wear mine after work, Rondi, because I don't have an orange shirt that can be professional. Well, yeah, I do. I have a burnt orange one. I'll wear that tomorrow. Kerry Mullis, the creator of the PCR test, said you can find anything you are looking for in a cell. You magnify it and get a positive test. That would be so amazing. Plus, they sometimes save people. Yeah, that's true. Absolutely not. No cruises for me. Big water bridges and planes. Nope, I'm good. I'm with you on that one, Heather. I've never had like a desire to be on a cruise ship. Anything where I can't see land, I kind of get freaked out a little bit. I don't know about you guys, but cruise ships kind of freak me out. I can do airplanes. I'd like to take an Amtrak train. I think you can take one from like Dallas to Chicago. I think that would be so cool. Anybody ever taken a Amtrak? I used to lay on the beach in North Carolina, South Carolina, watch the military guys do their training, and sometimes you could see the dolphins or whatever out there jumping around in the water. They jump so high out of that water. It's amazing how they can, just propel their weight out of the water. Been stuck in a few of those. So my son was just talking about the Hem building, the train path from Chicago to Cleveland to Florida. Yeah, I think that would be so cool. Like the old times, how people traveled on trains. You'd see them, sleeping in the train and stuff like that. No, do you know why Amtrak don't have baby Amtraks? Because they pull out in time. Nice, nice. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. I read the book Jaws in high school. I can't even swim across the lake without thinking about Jaws snapping my middle section. No, that's not dumb. I just tried imagining a human trying to be launched out of the water. Oh my God, something is definitely wrong with me. Cute. New Zealand official information request PCR cycles 45x, quote, expert anything over 40 cycles of junk science. Awesome. That would be so hard for a human to jump to propel themselves out of the water like that. Them dolphins are strong to be able to do that. I mean, they say that swimming is some of the best exercise you can do, you know? And I think that's what I was doing. That's what got me in this funk is I was swimming every day and I was loving it. This summer, I swam more this summer than I've swam ever. And I was loving it, and like it's good exercise. But unfortunately, there's only one place that has a pool here and it's I don't know. I don't know about all that. That's what I've heard, Jeff. That's what I've heard. You use all your muscles swimming, so it's great cardio. Heather, who is not Heather Fitzgerald? Because I saw them blocked on another channel. So whoever that is, they got blocked. So if you know them, Heather, you might let them know that they're blocked from that channel. Yeah, dolphins make some awesome sounds. I have to write that joke down. I love Slicka. Camby's The Purge. Okay, you might let him know that he's blocked from that channel. No, that's not Jeff. It's Kane. So he got blocked tonight because he got confused with that being Jeff's alter ID. That's my bedtime, guys. I hate to go, but I'll regret it. We understand. We understand. Thank you, Aquarius, for being here. See you soon. Take care of yourself and have fun with your granddaughter. Not Heather Fitzgerald, is Kane. Now I remember. Yeah. Yeah, he was like block. I ran out of accounts on my phone. I had more on my desktop. That's because Tommy didn't like my comment by Aquarius. Jeff. Oh my gosh. I'll have to unblock Kane. I don't know how to do it, but I'll have to find and unblock him. I don't know. I thought I was just in a bad frame of mind that day and I wasn't in the mood. I never knew who that guy was. He's pretty cool. He's pretty funny. I'll have to unblock him from my channel. I just don't know how to unblock people once you block them, so I'll have to figure that out. It's interesting how I guess it's good that YouTube doesn't let us block people from our channels or we'd never be watching anybody, I guess. You know? Just start up done with 50-second video, most of it being Tommy himself. Yeah, exactly. Bullshit. 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 Let me see. I think I have that little boy saying that without, of course, the other person. Let's see. Let's see if he has one of those. No, Jeff only sent me that on my phone, so I don't have it. That's hilarious, though. Life is too short to take any of this stuff serious. Yeah, he should. He should have his money for college by now. People get mad at each other. What that other genre on YouTube where the women are always talking about each other. What is that, Krama or something like that? Um, I got into one of their chats one day. Yes, that Krama. Oh my gosh, I didn't know where I was. I don't even know what that stood for. I was like, there's all these women in this chat. What are they talking about? They're talking about some lady, and some lady, and they're like, this lady thinks she's this and that and this and that. And they were just going on and on and on. They're playing their videos and they were just, cussing them out and all this other stuff. And I was like, oh my God, what kind of community is this? I was like, oh my God, what kind of community is this? And I was like, I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to think about that. Like, hold on a second. I didn't know what to think about that community. I was like, and you know what was so funny is I started watching that freaking community for a while. I was like, what am I doing? Why am I wasting my brain cells watching this stuff? Here we go.
Bullshit. Bullshit. Bullshit.
What?
Bullshit. 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 Bullshit.
One more time.
Bullshit. 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 Bullshit.
What?
Bullshit. 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 Bullshit.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I guess it's the head tilt and everything. You know what I mean? It's like it's the head tilt. It's the head tilt. It's like bullshit. Oh my goodness. I couldn't stop laughing when I saw that little kid the first time. I was like, that is amazing. That is amazing. Oh my god, now I have the other part playing in my head too, the other part, and I'm like, oh my goodness. Oh god. Anyways, yeah. Oh lordy. I guess it's getting late. I better like get off here before I get copyrighted or something. Should I be politically correct? Oh, jeez. Oh, sometimes you gotta laugh. I'm not laughing at anybody or anything. It just that little boy. How can you be mad? How can you be mad at that little kid? Like when when you're having a bad day, just play that video, and there's no way that you could like be in a bad mood, you know? How could you be in a bad mood? It's hard to be in a bad mood. Yeah. Don't be begging people, Jeff. That's desperate, bro. That's desperate. Don't be begging people to unblock you. Let them block you, bro. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's it is. Just take the block, bro. Just take the block. Jeff did go from block to mod on drunk turkey, yeah. I'm sure he'll probably go to mod status on somebody else's as well. Yeah, and if any of you that are lurking, y'all feel the need to contact me, you know my email. We can talk it out. In the words of another creator, I'm not here to slander anybody. Just here to have a good time. So, can you dig it? Can you dig it? If you can't dig it, get yourself a bigger shovel. Maestro, cue that music.